The unusual stained glass window of Eve's spinning has been a feature of St Mary's Church, Martham, for centuries, and could be a reflection of the importance of the wool trade in this area. Woolen weaving really did prove to be a golden fleece for medieval Norfolk, and helped to finance many of the magnificent churches in our county. What have we got in the bag then?
I'll show you. In here is a fleece. There we are. You can see the individual locks of the fleece within here. There's a little bit of dirt. It has been cleaned or scoured. It's quite a long fleece, and over the years sheep were bred to have longer and longer fleeces. And particularly when you're doing spinning for worsted wool, you need a nice long lock or staple for your spinning.
So what's the next step in the process?
I'll show you. The next step is we have to prepare the wool for spinning, and to do that we have to put it through some different processes. So this will be the process for preparing for worsted weaving, so nice long fibres, and these are wool combs. They look like vicious things, don't they? And the patron saint of spinners and wool workers is St Blaise. And he is the patron saint because he actually had the flesh ripped from his bones using wool combs. Very vicious indeed. But you can see the principle of these things is to comb the fibres out nice and straight so we get the maximum length for spinning worsted fibres.
So what's the other brushes for?
These are wool carders. You can see they are very different from the wool combs. They have a series of very fine prongs on them. And the way that these work is you take the locks of fleece, lay them onto the carders, and then using the two combs, pull the locks straight like this. Now that's ideal for shorter fleeces, where you're spinning for woolens rather than worsted with the very long fibres, because then the idea is once all the fibres are straightened, then you can roll them off into what's called a rolag, and that's then ready for you to spin with.
Mm-hmm. So this is Eve on the window. What makes her so special?
Well, you can see that Eve is spinning. She's using a drop spindle with a distaff, and she represents every woman. Now Eve, yes, she's the first woman, but in the medieval eye, this is how you place women in society. And you can see that she's wearing a blue dress, and that would have been because of her elevated status within the biblical story. Blue was very significant of high status people because the dye for stained glass windows in blue was expensive.
So how do we use this?
Well, the equipment that you see here is exactly what Eve has in our stained glass window. This piece of equipment here is called the distaff, and really all it is a long stick, and the combed wool is tied very loosely to it, so it makes it easier to draft out when you're actually spinning. And the distaff is often, again, used as a sign, a symbol of womanhood, because it's something that was associated with women. This part here is the spindle. Again, a very simple piece of equipment. It's a long stick with a weighted whirl on here. This one's actually a lead one. You often find them also in stone and in clay as well. And the way it works is that this is spun around and the fibre is drafted out from the distaff, and you can see the twist travels up the fibres and creates a thread.